basically, like, there's this idea that is often happens in political circles, especially as things get more entrenched and time passes, is that alliances are important for the sake of alliances.
Mm.
And it's like, well, the goal should be to have strong alliances. I would argue that that's not a good goal. The goal is to, like, whatever the goals of your country are, right? To protect jobs, protect your economy, protect national security, and so on. Like, those are the goals. And we want, our allies to also be able to achieve their goals on their end, right? Like good conditions for their people and their freedoms and so on, right? So, like, the goal should be to preserve the things that we want to preserve. And if strong alliances with certain countries help facilitate that, then the alliances are not a goal, but they are certainly a good means to achieve that goal. Whereas if alliances are no longer helping you achieve your goal, then those alliances are bad. And this is why we've seen, like, one of the things about the way Donald Trump has operated is that he's simply like, he doesn't care about alliances per se. He cares about the results of those alliances and whether they help achieve his policy goals, America first and so on. And so what's happened is you see, moving away from European alliances, moving towards Asia alliances, and not because Trump prefers to work with Asians / Australia. It's just that, like, it seems that the Trump administration had seen those alliances as better to help the U.S. achieve its policy goals.
That's a really good point. I mean, it's like a abusive relationship. You don't maintain the relationship because you want to maintain the relationship. You recognize that it's dysfunctional, and then you end it, and then you move into something better.
Well, I think that, the whole multilateralism becomes its own end goal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that the Chinese Communist Party has actually taken advantage of in terms of its propaganda apparatus. And how it works with other countries or how it talks to other countries. Because Xi Jinping has been great at using that type of language to make it sound like, China is interested in peaceful development. We're interested in win-win.
Mutual cooperation.
Right. And like the point is the cooperation.
Right. But cooperation isn't good or bad itself. It depends on what the terms of the cooperation are. So if you are cooperating, but it's on the CCP's terms, that's probably not good.
Well, that's the thing. Like, we have seen how the Chinese Communist Party operates over decades of actual, like, lived practice. Like, we saw how they have violated
our
lived experience, whatever. I'm on a roll, Shelley. Don't interrupt. It's once the rock starts rolling, get out of the way. I'm working on my Biden, folks.
Okay. I did not get that. I did not realize that.
I was not ready for this
but
transition.
Sometimes the rock is rolling and then it hits a corn pop.
I think the rock is off the rails right now.
And I had a point, and the point was that, like, look at the WTO. When China joined the World Trade Organization, they have violated every single rule in the World Trade Organization since it began. As I mentioned at the start of the episode, they threw out the agreement it made with the UK over Hong Kong. That international agreement meant nothing to them. As you mentioned, the free trade deal with Australia, that we've seen how this plays out, and how it will play out is the strengthening of the Chinese Communist Party. It will continue to persecute its own people, and it will just make Europe vulnerable to the Chinese Communist Party, which is still hostile.
I do have to say that in terms of the WTO, it's not that the Chinese Communist Party has broken every rule, because they love to enforce the rules when it comes to other countries. So it's it becomes a whole thing where it's like rules for thee, but not for me. So
yeah. They definitely criticized the Trump's trade war using the WTO structure.
Right. Or, when the Obama administration was bringing cases in the WTO towards China for dumping different, I think tires was one of the things and whatever. Of course, those were very unjust, but on the Chinese Communist Party side, they brought a lot of WTO, they brought cases against the U.S. So, it's fine when you want to use it, but when other people use it against you, then it's not good.
It's horrible. Again, the same thing is happening in Australia. Australia's saying, hey, what you're doing is violating the WTO rules. And they don't care.